process is an ongoing one. We are working to make a determination about the placement of that trial, and I would hope that whatever the decision is, it will be one that will be judged on the merits, and that what is best for the case and for justice in that case will be the thing that will guide the decision. We have been working on it, and I think we're close to a decision.
All right, that was just from yesterday. Eric Holder now. Those comments from the Attorney General sparking new outrage yet again. Outrage that the federal government perhaps is still considering holding the 9/11 terror trials only steps from ground zero. It's been 1 year since Holder suggested Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his 4 co-conspirators should be tried in a civilian courtroom. This is Eric Holder just about a year ago, 2009.
After 8 years of delay, those allegedly responsible for the attacks of September the 11th will finally face justice. They will be brought to New York, to answer for their alleged crimes in a courthouse just blocks away from where the Twin Towers once stood.
Again, that was 12 months ago, and frankly, a lot has changed in the past year. New York Republican Peter King is the ranking member of the House Homeland Security Committee, poised to take over as chairman come January. And, sir, a good morning to you. What decision will be reached?
Bill, I would hope that Eric Holder will do the right thing, and he will say very clearly that the trials will not be held in New York, that they will be held in Guantanamo, that they will be held before a military commission, not in a civilian court. The decision he made last year was entirely irresponsible. And I'm not just saying that because I disagreed with it. He made that decision without ever speaking to the police commissioner, to the state police, to the Federal Protective Service, to anyone, to the mayor, to the governor. No one was consulted at all before he made that decision. It was an ideologically driven decision, and now they've waited until the election was over. I denounced that decision the first day it was made on November 13th. It was the wrong thing to do. I would hope they now do the right thing, end this whole charade of having the trials in New York, which would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. In effect, it would turn Lower Manhattan into a martial law area. It would ruin businesses, and it would put the city at even greater risk than it is right now.
And you would prefer to have those at Gitmo, and perhaps in the end you get exactly what you want. And it wasn't just you, frankly. It was the mayor, Michael Bloomberg. It was the Democratic senator, Chuck Schumer. You all came out en masse against the possibility of bringing Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to New York. Now, what has happened since is that President Obama's gotten involved. You had a conversation with him after the midterms about a week ago. I don't know if this topic came up. Did it?
First, Bill, let me just say, it was a bit lonely. For the first month, I was the only one in New York who was denouncing the trials, the only one. But again, everyone did come on board, and I'm thankful for that. No, when I spoke with President Obama last week, this did not come up. In fact, the White House has been virtually silent on this. The only one that I've had any conversation with at all on this was Rahm Emanuel, and that was last spring. Since then, basically, this is something that is not discussed, it's not spoken about. That's why I've become more and more convinced, or at least hopeful, that they were waiting until after the election was over to get this out of the way. And it's ironic, if they do decide to have it in Guantanamo, where there is a court facility, where the rules of evidence will make much more sense in a military commission, that if it is held there, this will really be the president on 2 issues, Guantanamo and the 9/11 trials, basically reaffirming the decisions of the Bush administration, which to me is the best way to go on Homeland Security and counterterrorism issues.
Let's reverse this and go back to my premise. Let's say you get your way and it's at Gitmo. So now you refuse to allow Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to have a platform. You save New York City a cost of hundreds of millions of dollars over a period of several years. And the trial is held in Cuba with a military tribunal. If that's the outcome, do you consider that to be a win-win-win?
Yes, I do. It'll be a win for those who were murdered on September 11th, a win for their families, and it'll be a win, I believe, for the American system of justice. These military commissions are perfectly constitutional, perfectly valid, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is not entitled to the same rights as a ordinary criminal, quote-unquote. All those constitutional protections, he is not entitled to them as an enemy combatant. And the rules of evidence will be in such a way that we don't have to worry about classified intelligence coming out or Americans being put at risk.
One more thing here, and I have 10 seconds left here. Did President Obama step in and take this over, this decision, do you think?
I think he did because Eric Holder was ideologically driven. My understanding, he was committed to having the civilian trials in New York, and I believe the president is the one. If they are moved out, it'll be because of President Obama. Yes, that's my belief.
We don't have a final word yet, but we're waiting on that. Peter King, thank you for your time here in New York.
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, of course, is currently being held in Guantanamo Bay. And Attorney General Eric Holder says that the Obama administration is close to making a decision about that. Now, initially the plan was to prosecute the terror mastermind right here in New York, just blocks away from Ground Zero. But local political leaders are vowing not to allow that to happen. Republican Congressman Peter King is one of them, and he joins us right now on the Newsline. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. Let me ask you this. Did Attorney General Eric Holder ever consult with New York City law enforcement to discuss having the trial here in New York in the first place?
No, Harry. That decision was one of the most irresponsible ever made by any Attorney General. Eric Holder never spoke to Police Commissioner Kelly, never spoke with the state police, never spoke with the federal court protective service, spoke to no elected officials or business leaders in New York.
Right.
He had no idea the impact that was going to have. I mean, the police department has estimated security costs of up to $200 million a year. The federal protective services, they couldn't provide security at the court for more than 2 weeks. And also, all of Lower Manhattan would basically become like an armed camp. It would be, in effect, martial law.
Well, I mean, no disrespect by this question now, but it would seem to me that that would be a no-brainer that he would at least consult with some local law enforcement officials about what would be involved, would it not? Or did he look at this as an entirely constitutional decision?
I think he looked upon it as an ideological decision. My understanding is that he almost took the decision away from the president, because I afterwards spoke to people who were close to the president, and they said this was the Attorney General's decision. I think Eric Holder just was absolutely committed, no matter what, to having these civilian trials, to getting him out of Guantanamo. It was ideological on his part. I think he was honest about it, but I think he was totally wrong. And it's really, that's the type of decision-making that I think the voters rejected in this year's election. Right. That's why I'm delighted, and I give full credit to Governor-elect Andrew Cuomo for the position he's taking.
Congressman, I have to ask you this tonight. What is your best guess about what's going to happen with this? Because there's been so much political pressure and so much pressure from the public about this not being held here in New York City. What's your best guess of where it could be held?
It's only a guess, but my best guess is that it will be held at a military commission in Guantanamo. Because if they try to bring these defendants to the United States, the Congress will not authorize the money. I don't know of any facility in the U.S. where these prisoners could be kept, where a trial could be conducted. To me, there is a ultra-modern courthouse in Guantanamo, especially for this purpose.
But this is a criminal trial, is it not? This would not be a military trial.
No, I think they're going to decide to hold this as a military commission. If they hold a criminal trial, then there's the chance that intelligence would come out. There are certain types of evidence cannot be introduced. A military commission would allow for various types of hearsay evidence. It would allow the judge to exclude certain information requested by the defense if it would compromise intelligence. Now, the military commission has been upheld by the Supreme Court, and that, I think, is going to be part of the decision. I think Holder will say it will be in Guantanamo, and it will be a military commission.
All right. Congressman King, as always, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your insight into this tonight.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much.